Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, family, that you are moving into your own story, that you're getting your house in order, and that you're at least spiritually online and spiritually connected. Because it looks like we as a world have failed to save ourselves. And so a higher intervention is coming into play. But those are stories for other days. Family, definitely consider supporting our show so we can continue to bring you the awakening news till the end. Because the time is fast approaching when these levels of communication won't be there. And I really do pray that we will be able to make use of everything that has been revealed in us and to us to turn around the motherland. So there's a story I shared on TikTok. I hope you're following me on TikTok, family. We are definitely having way more very interesting conversations there. Definitely check us out at Dr. Mumbi Show. But there's this particular clip that was shared with me about a young man who was experimented on in the motherland. Take a listen.
When I was growing up in Kenya, this random white man came to my neighborhood. I must have been about 4 or 5 years old, and he basically did up drug experiments on all of the kids. That's the only explanation I have. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, for the longest time, I thought that this was a fever dream until I asked my mom about it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, no, yeah, that happened, lol." So I must have been about 4 or 5 years old, playing in the neighborhood. All the kids were around. This white man comes in the average missionary getup, khakis, shirt, big rucksack. And because we don't really see white people like that, Mzungu, we're excited. We go up to see him. We're curious. You understand? We're kids. He then comes up and he's like, "Oh, get all your friends, get all your friends." Tells the older kids, my brother included, like, get your friends as well and get the younger kids, right? Guys, this is honestly how white people came and enslaved Africa, because he really said all of that and everybody just said, "Yep, let's do it." So he opens up his rucksack and he basically like has these bottles and he starts giving all the kids their medicine. So he gives the older kids like this brown bitter medicine, and then he gives the younger kids like this like pinkish sweet medicine, and then he also gives us like the bitter one. And guys, I wasn't raised with a father growing up, so I'm just very suspicious of like grown adult males. So whatever he was selling, I wasn't really trying to be a part of it. So him sensing my hesitation, he was like, "Guys, hold his legs." And he told my brother to come and now like open my mouth like this so that like he could force feed me the medicine. Guys, I'm actually telling you, this is how Africa was colonized easily. The white man didn't have to try, because what do you mean a random white man comes, tells you jump, and you say how high? You're willing to come and now sell your own brother? Anyways, it's fine, I've forgiven him now. So after that happened, I did the one thing I could do as the youngest child. I ran home and I snitched on my brother. What do you mean? Told my mom what happens, and my mom was vexed. She was like, "Go and get your brother." I got my brother and I was like, "Ooh, you're gonna get beat." And he got beat and he deserved it. But what's crazy is that like 18 years later, I have no clue what that man gave me. Zero clue what he gave me. Zero clue what he gave us. This man didn't tell us who he was, where he was from, what he was doing, why he was doing it. None of us were orphans, I'll be so real. None of us were orphans. He didn't even ask for like parental permissions or like to speak to our parents before he gave us this random medicine. And honestly, I think what makes me the most angry about the situation is that like no signs of me becoming a super soldier have started to manifest. I don't have any powers. I don't have no super speed, no super strength. I can't see through walls. So he really came and now did drug tests on me for no reason. Because I must have been a failed experiment. I don't understand. I must have been a failed experiment.
So, family, when I heard this story of this young man, I was so shocked. Not because of his story, but because in the hundreds and hundreds of comments that were under his story, there were African children, African adults now. We honor the ancestors in the wind. There were so many Africans family who were talking about how, they grew up in Zimbabwe. Same thing happened to them. They grew up in Tanzania. Same thing happened to them. They grew up in Burundi. Same thing happened to them. Wherever they grew up, there seemed to have been Mzungus who used to come with lollipops. There were some who even used to line up outside the Mzungu houses to get lollipops and sweets. And the women were like, and the women and men who were commenting were like, "Oh my God, what were we being given?" So it looks like we have been experimented on for so long. And these experiments continue, family. And even for us to bring you the news and the information about these experiments is a risk to us, which is why we're always asking you to support us and to support other voices. Because once we talk about these things, we break the spell and something can happen. But it looks like millions of us was in one way or another experimented on. And it's so weird, family, because our mothers were having 5, 6 children. And within one generation, we now have fertility clinics in every city across Kenya, every major city. Nairobi has almost a dozen or 2 dozen fertility centers. Is it these things that we are being given? And you know what was even sadder? Is that this continues till today. I remember I had one of my cleaning ladies during the jibby jab. She had told her children not to be jabbed, and they had all tried to tell their children, don't allow them to do this to you, don't allow them to give you injections in school and things like that. And you know what happened, family? Because she was taking her son to a school that was subsidized by some Mzungu German missionaries, the minute this thing broke out, the pandemic, they went to that school, family, they closed the gate and they forcefully injected all the children, family, all of them. And when my cleaning lady was telling me this, she was so heartbroken. And she felt there was nothing they could do because the school was being subsidized, and if she didn't do it, she wouldn't. It is just so painful, family, to see where we are. And they're distracting us so much with politics and these few leaders. And they've taken the power and given us this fake theater. And the government is working perfectly for them because it's governing all the mentals, all of them. And what I'm realizing, family, is colonialism didn't end. They knew we would fight back for our land. Colonialism was like phase one. The real colonialism is what we call neo-colonialism, where the colonialism was they controlled us without our consent. But they wanted to move into controlling us with our consent and getting us on this hamster wheel. Every country should be like Libya. If we were to get our natural resources, and please check the stories I've done, family, about how all our gemstones were kept in national parks and now they're starting to be exploited. If we could just get it together and come together and get an honest, it's not even a government. I don't know how we're going to do it or what shape it would look, because we honor the ancestors in the wind. I really don't know what shape it would take, family. But if we could just come together, because so much is at stake. No one on the motherland should be living in poverty. No one should be hungry. We should be living by better than Europe, because we're the ones who have given Europe its wealth. We're the ones who have the diamond, the gold, the oil, the uranium, the coltan. So how are we in this situation? It doesn't make any sense. And it's crazy that the fake vow of silence has kept us from having these conversations. Like, I'm shocked. Please let me know, family, if you've been through something similar to what this young man talks about. I'll definitely put his TikTok in the description box below so that you can check out the story for yourself. Special shout out to every single person that supports us on Patreon or sends us a love donation through PayPal. Please consider doing so that we can continue to bring you the awakening news. Until next time, family. Tuko pamoja.